Hello, my friend. Thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Hey Matt, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Before I start the clock, I want you to introduce who you are, how long you've been in Charlotte, and tell our viewers what you do.
So my name is Gaurav Gupte. Everybody calls me Gau. I'm an architect here in Charlotte, and believe it or not, I've been in Charlotte for 20 years now. I came fresh off the boat from India and landed in Raleigh, and then I've been in Charlotte since 2000.
Wow, 20 years. This is your 20th anniversary as a Charlottean.
It actually really is, and I consider the city my home, so I've just put in right here.
We'll have to find a way to celebrate, no doubt. Let me start the clock, and then we'll just dive in and have a quick conversation. The first place I want to start, Gao, is with the COVID crisis. How has this pandemic affected your field, the architecture field, and the projects you're currently working on?
So, we do a lot of projects in many different sectors, and honestly, some sectors have been affected more than others. In the office market, for example, co-working spaces or office spaces, we're not quite sure how they're going to come back to working in close proximity of each other indoors. That do. In our sports and entertainment market, as we know, sports, it's very iffy if we'll have people in stadiums and cheering next to each other. So that's been affected a little bit as well. In our healthcare market, on the other hand, we think there might be a boom in getting the beds and renovations and giving hospitals the renovations that they need. They've probably seen a lot of deficiencies in their system in the past few months.
So the crisis is actually your field is pivoting basically to the needs of society. It sounds like.
It really is, and in the work we do, which is truly the public sector, we do have to go to where the market needs us, right? And so it's very difficult to tell how quickly we will go back to normal or not. And so we're trying to pivot as quickly as possible, but it's hard to get a long-term vision of what may happen.
Got it. So you mentioned the sports sort of market of architecture, which of course reminds me of one of your most celebrated accomplishments that you designed and planned, which is the Charlotte Knights AAA minor league BB&T Ballpark in Uptown Charlotte. This is not a Barbara Walters question. I'm not trying to get you to cry, but I do want to know, what is it like to see it empty during this time of social distancing?
It's really hard. I know the Knights really well. Dan Rakowski is a great client of ours. And it's really hard to see the stadium being empty during the midst of the summer. And it should be packed full of people, people celebrating, coming together. And it's, when I go for a walk around there, and you can look into that stadium and you can see the potential of, everybody knows what it can be, but it is hard. It is hard to see an empty stadium sitting there. It looks a little lonely.
Well, it does, and it's one of the most beautiful stadiums in the league, and we've seen the role that a space like that can play in our community, and so now that we see it empty, that role and the importance of that role is even more. It's underscored even more, and similarly, I think because you're very involved in public art in Charlotte as well, you were appointed to the Public Art Commission. By the city of Charlotte. And so there's a role that public art plays in our community as well. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about its role in our community. And is there a special role that it can play during challenging times that we're experiencing right now?
I think so. I think public art is one of those things that can come in many different shapes and forms and sizes. And the role that the artist has to play in picking a form of expression to energize, invigorate, and bring people together in a public setting, it is public art, I think is huge. And I think as we go through difficult times during this last weekend and week, and I think every one of us has been affected by what we've seen around the country, I think that is going to start affecting forms of expression, and public art as one of them. So I think we will see that come together. The good thing with public art is you don't have to be invited to see it, right? You don't have to go inside a building. it is truly public, and I think it's a little bit more free in terms of engagement with that.
Absolutely. Well, in our final 30 seconds, I would like to hear about you. How are you personally doing? How are you coping? How are you staying sane and connected and well during this
You know,
time?
as an introvert, I'm doing great. You know, I can sit at home, stay connected. Technology has allowed us to do everything we can and need to do in my profession. But I do miss my coworkers. I do miss the collaboration part of the creative process. Our process isn't where we're sitting and drawing. I think it is truly a team-based process. So I'm looking forward to going back to that soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you, having served alongside you in the community. We're on the Charlotte Center City Partners Community Trust Board. I know you to be not just a creative being, but a collaborative being. And so I'm sure you're feeling that, you're missing that collaboration. Let's just keep doing our work and hoping that those times are coming in the not too distant future.
I hope so too.
Gau, thank you so much for spending a few minutes with us. We really appreciate you and everything you're doing in our community, leadership, creative wise and otherwise.
Thank you, man. It was a pleasure being here.